Hey guys, welcome to Exotic Car DIY. Today, going to be reviewing my E63. I'm going to tell you why I think this is the best sedan that you can buy right now. Or as Jeremy Clarkson might say, or is it? Alright guys, so the Mercedes-Benz E63, particularly the 2014 to 2016 facelift model. For me, this car just checks all the boxes. It looks good, it's really fast, it has tons of features, and you could pick one of these up for like less than a minivan cost. What more could you want? Now there are other cars in this category, don't get me wrong. There's the Cadillac cts-v, the BMW M5, the Alfa Romeo Quattroformaggio Giulia, the Audi RS7. There's obviously the newer w213 E63. And those are all good cars, but for me, this one just had the edge over the others. Now, many of you are probably already familiar with the specs of this car, but they are so impressive that I just gotta tell you again. It's a twin-turbo 5.5 liter V8, 577 horsepower, 590 foot-pounds of torque. Now, what's even more impressive is that if you dyno one of these, bone stock, they'll almost put those numbers down at the wheels, which means you're roughly getting about 640 horsepower at the motor. And that is just an insane amount of power in a car that has back seats. So earlier I made the claim that this is the best car you can buy right now. So let me explain that. So obviously people have different metrics and criteria that they're going to use to judge what's best for them. It's all subjective, so whatever. But anyway, we can all agree that price, performance, and looks are pretty high up there, and I'll get into that, plus maybe things like reliability and modability and stuff like that. So let's just start with performance. 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds, quarter miles in 11.5. So what does that actually translate into? Uncontrollable stupid grins every time you hit that right pedal. So in all seriousness, that is quick. Basically, any car you're gonna see on any daily basis, you're gonna be able to beat them. That's faster than a Hellcat. That's faster than a C606. That is as fast as a C706. That's faster than an M5. That's faster than a cts-v2, V3. It's a very, very quick car. The other huge plus for me is that these are all-wheel drive, which makes them very easy to drive and very easy to be consistent. So one thing that was always frustrating, it's like I used to have a Camaro and a Z06 and a cts-v. They would claim 0 to 60 numbers, but you could never get those 0 to 60 numbers because you couldn't get traction. Unless you're on a prep track and you just got lucky with how much you slipped your clutch or whatever, you're not gonna get that. On the contrary, this thing will bust off 0 to 60s in 3.3 just non-stop all day. You pull up next to the light against a Hellcat, you're gonna beat him because he's gonna spin his tires. So number 2 on these is price. These cars were almost $120,000 new. You can find them used, just a few years old, with not too many miles on them, in the 30s now. Most are probably in the mid 40s if you want a good like mid-mile, low-mile one. And they seem to be holding their value well. So with that in mind, what other cars can you get that can touch this kind of performance for that price? All right, so the third thing I was gonna talk about was the looks or the styling of these. Now, I'm not dogging on them, but the pre-facelift ones did start to look dated. They kind of had that same old Mercedes looks, and when they did the facelift, they really updated it. And Mercedes has kept this. In fact, the nose on these is still on the current model. They're almost indistinguishable between a W213, which is twice the cost. So I've had people look at these and think it's the new model. You gotta tell them, no, this one's like 7 years old. To me, the E63 looks kind of like a power under wraps. It's a very subtle, elegant, modern design that I just really like. So let's talk about the features. Remember, this car is almost $120,000, so it comes with practically everything Mercedes offers. Like some of my favorite features, it has seat massagers in there that aren't just a gimmick. They actually are really, really nice, like this kneading that goes up and down your back. You got inflatable bolsters that go when you turn the steering wheel. You got every single other regular creature comfort, heated and cooled seats, panoramic sunroof, come with an awesome sound system out of the box. But for me, the feature that takes the cake is the headlights. So these come with Mercedes-Benz intelligent light system LED headlights on there. Now, granted, the USA cars have it dumbed down. However, you can activate the European version, and I have a video right there or here to show you how to do that. Basically, the simplest way to describe it is you run high beams all the time, and then the headlights see oncoming and preceding traffic, and they will actually dim or lower just the specific section enough not to blind that driver. It is so cool. So you'll see when you're following somebody, it'll actually make a little box in front of them because your high beams split in half. It is the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's probably one of the safest features. And of course, the other main option that these have is the Mercedes-Benz Distronic Plus. Now, I always thought that that was just the radar navigation. I didn't realize that they actually have self-driving capabilities. Maybe not quite as good as a Tesla, but better than anything else I've ever had. So I've had other GM cars, and basically if you let go of the steering wheel, it'll just bounce off the sidelines. These ones, when you set the cruise and it sees the lines, you can let go and it will drive. It'll go around turns, it doesn't swerve, it just stays dead center. And obviously if the guy in front of you stops, it'll stop and it'll speed up all on its own. It's amazing. They also got stuff that you'll probably never use. Like they're self-parking. So if it sees a parking spot, whether it's horizontal or parallel parking, it'll park the car for you. So you may remember at the beginning of the video, I used my Jeremy Clarkson voice and said, or is it? So what other car was I talking about? Well, I was actually talking about the Mercedes-Benz E55. So I actually sold my E55 that I had for almost 5 years to buy this car. And I still to this day regret selling that car. And you may be surprised, how could you like an old Mercedes over this one? It's not as fast, it doesn't look as good, it doesn't have as many features. Why is it a better car? I have to explain that a little bit. So driving is an experience. And the experience is not always related to the numbers. My 355 is a perfect example of that. The 355 is not fast on modern terms. I mean, it's only 375 horsepower, 0 to 60 in like 5 seconds, but something about driving that car, all the other senses that are engaged, the shifting, the noise, the feeling, it makes it feel fast, and it actually provides a very enjoyable experience. The thing about that E55 is twofold. A, that motor is just brilliant. Now, this car, when you floor it at 50 miles an hour, it kind of feels like a rocket, just like it just slowly engages and just keeps getting faster. And it is a faster car than the E55. But the E55, if you would floor it at 50 miles an hour, it would literally feel like you got rear-ended. The supercharger is clutched on that, and it would just hit you from behind and be like, oh gosh. I mean, it'd go. And it just put a smile on your face every time you did it. Sure, they look a little bit dated now, but if you put some carbon bits on them and lower them a little bit, they actually don't look that bad. They look pretty sharp. I love the way my E55 looked, but why I like it more relates to the last thing I'm going to talk about. It's just the price. I mean, I bought that car for $15,000 with 50,000 miles on it. And I ended up selling it for quite a bit more than I paid for it, but still, something that can check all the boxes and be less than 20 grand. I mean, that is like a no-brainer. And just having that in the back of your head, like, I only paid 15 grand, I only paid 15 grand, just made me even happier to have that car. So it is a great car. The driving experience is more exciting than the E63. But either way, you can't go wrong with either one of them. And I know it probably sounds like I'm a hardcore AMG guy now, but I swear I'm not brand loyal to any car. All these cars are great cars. All right, enough with the E55. Let's go back to talking about the E63, because I got two more big points I want to make to you about these cars. So first one is the capability of these bi-turbo motors. It's just phenomenal. With just a few simple mods like intake and downpipe and a tune, there are quite a few people that are reporting low 10-second quarter miles, like 10.3. And I just think that that is mind-blowing that a stock motor used to do that. When I was younger and I had a Camaro, you'd have to do heads, cam, forged pistons, forged rods, and a supercharger just to try to get like 500 horsepower. It's just insane. And these cars can do that out of the box. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to talk about, what is it actually like to own one of these? What's the reliability like, and can you work on it? Well, Welcome to Exotic Car DIY. That's what this channel is about. You can work on these cars. I have an oil change video, a gear oil change video, lots of different little maintenance items. You can do everything yourself. You don't need to be reliant on a dealer. So what are they like long-term reliability? So remember, they're only 4 to 7 years old right now, so they really haven't got that high mileage, but there's quite a few owners that are well over 100,000 miles and they're running great. Now there are a couple minor things that you do have to look out for. So the timing chain tensioners, it just seems like it took Mercedes forever to figure out how to get those right. They have several different revisions, but they seem on the latest version of them, they were able to get them correct, I guess. But even if your tensioners go bad, it doesn't hurt the motor. It's just a little loud on startup. They're only about $100 each and you can do them yourself. Well, there you go, guys. There is my review of the W212 E63. I hope you liked the video, guys. Feel free to like and subscribe. Maybe go out and buy one yourself. There's really are great cars. Anyway, thanks for watching.